In ancient China, during the Tang Dynasty, the emperor was living like an absolute king, literally. Dude had money, power, armies, and just to top it all off, a collection of over 3,000 concubines. That's not a flex, that's a full-blown addiction. These women weren't just randoms either. They were the most beautiful girls from across the empire, handpicked for their looks, charm, and potential to please. Every year, new girls arrived like fresh royal inventory, daughters of war generals, merchant princesses, village sweethearts, and trained dancers. All of them trying to outshine each other just to get 5 minutes of the emperor's attention. It was a constant beauty war, full of glitter, perfume, fake smiles, and quiet sabotage. Now one day, in the middle of this chaos, Yang Guifei enters the scene. Later, she would be known as Yang Guifei, one of the most famous and dangerous women in Chinese history. But when she first walked into the palace, she wasn't exactly the most eye-catching. She didn't come in dripping gold or wearing loud colors. She didn't look like she was trying to seduce a ruler. She wasn't flashy, loud, or even overly dolled up. In fact, she showed up barefoot. No shoes, no heavy makeup, just her natural beauty, a soft rose oil scent on her skin, and a quiet confidence that slapped harder than any red lipstick ever could. She walked like she had nowhere to be and nothing to prove. Calm, slow, smooth, like silk floating on air. Like she knew the palace already belonged to her, and she was just there to collect. The thing is, the palace was used to girls begging for attention, crying, performing, faking innocence, but Yang didn't do any of that. She didn't even look the emperor in the eye at first, but the way she moved, the way she carried herself, it was hypnotic. People stopped talking when she entered the room. The guards, fumbling. One dropped his spear. Another one turned bright red and looked away. All that from just one glance. The other girls immediately sensed it. The air shifted. They could feel the threat. Yang had something none of them had, and they knew it. Not just beauty, aura. The kind of presence you can't teach or fake. And then it happened. The emperor saw her. One look. That was all it took. He'd seen thousands of girls, had hundreds in his bed. But this one, she was different. She didn't demand his attention, but somehow she pulled it in like gravity. From that moment on, it was a wrap. He gave her the title Guifei, which basically means favorite concubine. But let's be real, she wasn't just a favorite. She became an obsession. The emperor stopped caring about the rest. He started skipping important meetings, ignoring officials, brushing off wars and blowing off court duties, all because he wanted to spend time with her. He built her a private garden, gave her palaces, jewels, silks, anything she wanted. She didn't even have to ask. Other concubines who had been in the palace for years were losing their minds. Some had been planning their rise to power since they were teenagers. And now, here comes barefoot Yang, who didn't even try, and suddenly she's calling shots like a queen. The jealousy got real. Whispers turned to rumors. Rumors turned to plots. But nothing worked. The emperor was hooked. And the crazy part? Yang wasn't even trying to manipulate him. She just existed, and that was enough. That's how powerful her energy was. In a palace filled with thousands of the most beautiful women in the empire, the emperor only had eyes for one. She wasn't the loudest or the flashiest or the most politically connected. She didn't need to be. She had something more dangerous. Quiet confidence, mysterious charm, and a soul-deep kind of beauty that couldn't be copied. She didn't chase the emperor. He chased her. And the entire empire watched as this one barefoot girl became the center of the most powerful man's universe.
After Yang Guifei became the emperor's favorite, he stopped acting like an emperor. Council meetings, skipped. War reports, ignored. Rebellions, he literally said, let them wait. The empire was burning, and this man was too busy watching her sleep. That's how deep the obsession ran. He didn't care about politics anymore. His whole world became her. He built her a private garden that was more like a fantasy world. It had musicians, dancers, chefs, and perfume flowing through the air like mist. Yang bathed in milk and rose petals, while other concubines who once had power slowly started disappearing. Not dead, just forgotten. One minute they were in his bed, the next they were invisible. She didn't just get his time, she got influence. She started showing up in political conversations. Her name was being whispered in court halls. Officials began to try and get on her good side just to stay in power. She wore silk, but her real weapon was her presence. The other concubines couldn't compete. No matter what they did, he kept going back to Yang every time. People in the palace started talking. What's between her legs must be divine. And to be fair, the emperor's behavior wasn't helping the rumors. He was simping hard, and it was clear she had him completely locked in. His throne room stayed empty. His generals waited. His people suffered. But every night, the center of power moved to one room, hers. If you wanted decisions made in China, you didn't go to the emperor. You got close to Yang. Her bed became the new seat of government. He didn't just fall in love, he fell under her control. And she knew it. That's when obsession turned into something much more dangerous.
Yang had thousands of girls side-eyeing her in the palace, but none of them matched the energy of the Empress Dowager, the Emperor's mother, and the real boss behind the scenes. While the other concubines were busy being jealous, the Empress was strategic. She saw Yang not just as a rival, but as a disgrace to the empire. In her eyes, Yang was a walking red flag, beautiful, seductive, and dangerous. She believed Yang was distracting her son from his duties, dragging the empire into chaos just by existing. So, she made it her mission to destroy her. She didn't scream or shout, she moved quiet and deadly. Poisoned gifts wrapped in luxury, fake scandals whispered through the palace halls, servants paid to start drama. It was a full campaign of sabotage, and Yang knew it. But the emperor? Still obsessed. He didn't care what people said. He kept spoiling her, kept ignoring his kingdom, and the empire kept falling apart. People were starving, war was creeping in, and eventually rebellion exploded. The emperor was forced to flee the capital with Yang by his side. It was no longer love, it was survival. But it got worse. The army that once served him turned on him. They looked him dead in the face and said, "We'll only protect you if you get rid of her." Just like that. His ride or die, or the throne. And guess what? He folded. The same man who once called her his everything, now silent. She became the scapegoat for the fall of the Tang Dynasty. The girl who gave him her heart, body, and loyalty, thrown to the wolves. In the end, she wasn't betrayed by enemies. She was betrayed by the one man who claimed to love her the most.
After choosing the throne over Yang, the emperor sealed her fate. The army made it clear, no Yang, no protection. So he gave the order, quiet, cowardly. The same man who once built her gardens and bathed her in love couldn't even watch her die. But Yang didn't cry. She didn't beg. She made just one final request. No blade, no rope. If she had to die, let it be with silk. Soft, elegant, royal, like the love that once ruled the empire. And just like that, they wrapped a silk cord around her neck and ended everything. The moment she died, something in him broke. He didn't rule, he didn't lead, he didn't eat. Days passed like fog, nights were worse. He started holding rituals to try and summon her spirit, lighting incense, whispering her name, like maybe she'd come back. But all that came was silence. The empire slowly fell apart. Rebellions rose. Enemies gained power. The throne meant nothing now. People said her ghost never left the palace, that she still walked those halls in silk, watching everything collapse. She wasn't just a concubine. She was the soul of the empire, and once she was gone, everything followed. Years later, the emperor died, surrounded by servants, but completely alone. Regret crushed him more than any enemy ever did. He had 3,000 women in his lifetime, but only one that he truly mourned.